Alright, more Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Towards the end of last stream, a lunatic actually broke into my apartment while I was on stream. They ended the stream by saying that I would probably finish this case today. They were out of their mind, whoever they were. It wasn't me. We haven't even gotten to the part where Lord Strongheart has even the slightest bit of suspicion laid on him. There is still a lot left to do in this trial. There really is. There's no way that we're... I'm gonna say there's no way we finish it today. Even spending 3 hours on it, I don't think we finish it today. I do hope that we will finish the game in under 100 hours, as Steam says I've been playing it for 90, which is really quite significant. Although, again, every time I bring that up, it is technically 2 games. It is technically a bundle of the 2 Great Ace Attorney games, so it's fine. Kazuma Asogi. I know you, and I know you wouldn't lie, but still, there's no doubt that you're holding something back. You know more than you're saying. Bang. During the past 30 minutes while this court was adjourned, all possible efforts were expended. That's not his voice. During the past 30 minutes while this court was adjourned, all possible efforts were expended. But sadly, Mr. Jigoku's whereabouts could not be ascertained. We must accept the unfortunate conclusion that the Reaper has already done the deed. There's no sense in wasting any more of the court's time. The prosecution calls for an immediate verdict. That's right, the fact that this man cannot be found means that you must have killed him.
Objection!
And anyone else who has also died. Also your fault. No, the trial cannot end now. You're a Japanese man, Ryunosuke. You should know when to lay down your sword. He's like, I only know how to kamikaze. Except I know how to say it correctly. And you should never presume when... should know never to presume when the battle is won. The court has already been presented with all the evidence and heard all relevant testimony. And there can be only one conclusion, that the accused is guilty. All relevant testimony? Far from it. There is still a crucial witness from whom the court is yet to hear a single word of testimony. In that case, call your witness to the stand at once, counsel. Yes, my lord. Tomorrow, if possible. The witness is already on his way and scheduled to arrive tomorrow. Can't we just put the bunny rabbit on the stand? Put the Sherlock Holmes bunny rabbit on the stand. It's far, far less ridiculous than most things that we see happen in Phoenix Wright. Who on earth is this crucial witness? Seishiro Jigoku, the very man allegedly murdered by the Reaper. Judge Jigoku, you've found him? But the investigation of every policing resource in the capital suggests that Jigoku is already dead. How, in the name of God, did you find the man? He was located in France during the recess, at the port of Dunkirk. We have a walkie-talkie. It has an effective range of 275 miles. Thanks to one of Mr. Sherlock Holmes' famous deductions. Sherlock Holmes. Inspector Gregson almost certainly met with Mr. Jigoku on the night of his death, because along with Prosecutor Asogi, Gregson was on a mission to assassinate the man. Which means that Seishiro Jigoku is the sole witness who can clarify exactly what happened aboard the SS Grouse on the 31st October. Bang. Well, it would appear that it's too soon to move to adjudication at this point. The prosecution concurs. The court must hear Mr. Jigoku's testimony. No judgment shall be passed until all testimony has been considered. In that case, I hereby call the end of today's proceedings. Court will reconvene at the same hour tomorrow. No objections from either side? No, my lord. No objections, my lord. We live to fight another day, by the skin of our teeth. Huh, curious. I wasn't expecting this to happen, because we just had the little investigation and deduction part in the middle of the trial. I figured that meant that after that was done, it was just going to be trial all the rest of the way out. Apparently not. Now we will have a proper, full investigation. So, of course, we weren't finishing today. Unless I do a 24-hour stream. The unexpected halt of proceedings sent a clamor around the courtroom. But outside the Bailey, where Londoners knew nothing of the secret trial within, it was a typical still night. Then, at a little past 8 o'clock that evening, or 7:30 as they call it, Mr. Sholmes and his partner returned to Baker Street. Oh! It's turkey and pie. And vegetables. And mashed potatoes. And a quiche. We have returned, my dear fellows. Welcome back to Britain. And thank you for your timely help. Think nothing of it. I believe you've had an even more wearing day than Mikotoba and I. No? You could say that. We were on the brink of defeat in court earlier. So this prosecutor Asugi had you on the ropes, did he? And he's your best friend, you say? Well, he's not really the man I knew in Japan anymore. Kazuma's changed. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. I mean, it's incredible to think that he'd even entertain the idea of acting as the Reaper's assassin. Well, nevertheless, you must introduce me. After all, I've only ever met the young man as a corpse. When all this started almost a year ago now. Almost a whole year of He10 streams ago. When we started Phoenix Wright. Mr. Sholmes still hasn't told us the truth about what really happened back then, about the motivation for what he himself described as a great detective's lie. Now then, I must say it's really quite a journey, all the way to France. Well, it is another country, Mr. Sholmes. So, what news of Judge Jigoku? We took him to Scotland Yard. The investigating detectives there have a lot of questions for the man. Poor Professor Mikotoba, this must be quite a shock for him. Ah yes, I picked this up at the telegraph office on our way home. What is it? Surely you haven't forgotten already. I put upon you for the matter only yesterday. Only yesterday. You put upon me, Sholmes. I had to fill out your telegram to Japan and foot the bill as well. Oh, you've had a reply already? What was so urgent, though, Mr. Sholmes? Such matters can wait until later. I'm far too hungry for such an involved conversation at present. Well, that's good news, because supper is ready, everyone. Ah, and what a feast it is. If I were none the wiser, I'd think the trial were won already. Roast beef,
kippers, stew, steak and kidney pie, Yorkshire pudding.
Tomorrow could be a very long day, so eat up. Don't you have any food that's not gross? I don't even know what kippers are, and I'm not going to eat a pie that has kidneys in it.
In that case, I think I'll seat myself just here. This place appears to be the only one set with a helping of pheasant as well.
Odd Garrett is also an Englishman too hungry to talk or type, so get some food. Get yourself some kippers. Big heaping bowl of kippers. Oh, sorry, Hurley, not there.
Why ever not? Are we in set places this evening?
Yes, and that place is for Susie's daddy.
For me?
That's right, I made it especially for you, Professor Mickey.
I see. Well, that's terribly kind of you.
And Faded is here, and he has subbed. And Noelle is singing to him. Thank you again for the sub. 31 months. Extraordinary. Thank Faded indeed. We are all thank Faded on this blessed day. It's a shame, really.
What do you mean?
Well, for a brief moment I believed it. That Susie and I were half-sisters, I mean. Oh!
Gasp.
Iris, do you mean... Yes, I know now. I overheard yesterday. I secretly listened in to the conversation you had after I tricked you all into thinking I'd left. You scamp. You Kusogaki. What? Oh, and then he fell down. Right into the Yorkshire pudding. The misunderstanding arose because of that autopsy report from 10 years ago. But actually, it turned out that neither Dr. Wilson nor Professor Mikotoba are Iris's father.
Yes. About that, Iris. You know, I
know. You can't tell me at the moment. Oh, Iris. The pheasant is by way of an apology. It's an apology pheasant. I'm sorry for eavesdropping.
Oh, no, that's quite all right. Then why don't I get any apologetic pheasant?
So just who is Iris's father? I suppose that's not something we'll be finding out today. It'll be in the DLC.
So then, let us dine, while our largely pheasantless plates are still piping hot. A fine idea, Sholmes. It all looks absolutely delicious.
Eat as much as you like, there's always seconds. This could be our last chance to ask questions before tomorrow's trial. We'll have to talk with our mouths completely full. It's the only way. About that telegram from Japan, and about Kazuma. I can't let this opportunity slip away. Rude. Rude. Oh. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing?
Surely, it's abundantly clear that I wasn't brooding over Mikotoba's refusal to share his pheasant with me. Nevertheless, I felt the need to withdraw from the social circle for a while and look on with hungry eyes.
Hungry eyes. Sorry, Hurley, but I cooked that pheasant especially for Susie's daddy.
Even though I've played the role of father to you for far longer.
Mr. Sholmes, could I discuss some things with you?
Certainly, my dear fellow. I find myself quite in the mood for a spell of conversation. No doubt, you're hungry to learn more of my deep love for my deep love of game.
I thought he said the game, but no, he's talking about pheasant. I can probably contain my curiosity on that one.
You needn't look at me in that fashion.
In what fashion?
It seems that before we discuss the pheasant, we have some rather unpheasant matters to discuss.
Where's Surf for this? That was a good joke. The telegram from TeleJapan. So what was in the telegram you received? You received back from Japan, then?
Ah, this? I thank my lucky stars it arrived in time. Record found as indicated. Duplicate follows. K. Asugi, A. Sheen, T. Gregson, J. Wilson.
What? Those 4 names? We've come across that exact same list before. Have we? Was it the list of murder victims? They came up in that unforgettable case last spring. That was unforgettable, my mistake. What appeared to be a simple case of aggravated suspected murder turned out to be masking monumental intrigue. A plot that involved the sale of British governmental secrets to foreign states. And exposing the means by which those secrets were being leaked, we deciphered a fragment of a message. K. Asugi, A. Sheen, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. Was that on the disc? The Morse code? But we didn't find the names out until the case was over, and we never did get to the bottom of what they meant. All we knew was that the information had been sent by somebody in the British government to somebody in Japan.
Yes.
So, why are the names coming up again now? Yes, where did the sender of your telegram discover them, Mr. Sholmes?
I have here the message I had wired yesterday. Allow me to read it to you. Enter Judge Jigoku's office undetected and investigate telegram records. Expect to find communication from Britain dated 1 year ago. List of 4 names need by tomorrow. Naruhodo. I sent it to a detective I know who specializes in clandestine missions of this nature.
You asked Inspector Hosonaga to undertake such an onerous task for you?
And in my name? I wonder what guise he opted for this time. My dear fellows, it was a matter of great urgency, you understand. Anyway, the list of names was found in Seishiro's office as Sholmes predicted.
So you mean that mysterious collection of names that was sent from Britain to Japan was... It was sent to Judge Jigoku. He was the intended recipient.
I don't believe it.
But that doesn't answer the question of what the list of names actually signifies.
I did formulate a hypothesis about that. But without a shred of evidence, I couldn't possibly have shared it.
Mr. Sholmes looks deadly serious for once. The tragedy we had to go through on the SS Buria. It was all for nothing. Cosmo wasn't dead at all. Hey, so Shub, so? We were completely taken in by the lie you told us, your great detective's lie. And hello to Synapse and many friends.
Can't do it if you're leering at me. It's creepy.
How is everyone, and would you like to watch some Phoenix Wright? If not, close your eyeballs. It's all hearsay. Objection, hearsay? Objection, hearsay. Although, you know, it's funny. I wonder if people actually understand, like, what hearsay is and why it is an objection during testimony. Like, that you're not allowed to ask someone, what did this other person tell you? And the main reason for it is that you have a right, you have the right to cross-examine, you know, to face your accuser. If there's somebody who's going to go up on the stand and say, this is what happened, blah, 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 you have to get that actual person up there to say it, so that you can interrogate them, so that you can say, well, isn't it true that you didn't actually see that, or that this circumstance or that circumstance is true? So that's the reason why hearsay isn't allowed, because if you want to hear what somebody said, you have to put that person up on the stand. Internet courts. I don't have internet courts. Do I? I could Google it, I guess. If I Google internet court, will I find anything? Yes. Your great detectives lie. I guess that's how you say synapse. I wouldn't know. It's a word, right? Oh no, it's spelled differently. Like the real synapse. A real synapse has a Y in it. Probably.
I will not falter.
Oh, thank you for the follow, Chad Guy. Hope you enjoyed the stream. The only game that I stream is the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I was just mentioning as I started the stream. Steam says I've been playing this game for 90 hours now. Because it actually is a bundle of two full Phoenix Wright games. But we're at the very end. We won't finish it today, but there's a possibility we finish it Monday. We're gonna get through this investigation at the very least and get back to the trial. And then we'll maybe finish Monday. It's so long. I took no pleasure in deceiving you. However, at the time, all that concerned me was preventing the young man's study tour from taking place, whatever the cost. What? I capitalized on the events that transpired to see that he was sent back to Japan. His remains, you mean?
Precisely, Miss Susato. And then I made sure that somebody else was sent to Britain in his stead.
Oh my, you mean...
The arrangement between our two countries was already in place.
You thought this was my case that we're watching. Oh no. No, the person on... In fact, it's the person who is on trial in this case, the final case, is the guy who has been up against us the whole game. The enemy prosecutor, Barak von Zeeks, who talks like the Count from Sesame Street, as voiced by Hitan. One university student lawyer and one judicial assistant to be accommodated on a study tour. In other words, by arranging for someone else to fill the place originally intended for Mr. Asogi, I would successfully prevent the man from arriving on our shores for several years at least. Wait, you mean to say that it was all in aid of stopping Kazuma coming to Britain? That's why you... Oh, really? Well, Sholmes isn't gonna say it, because he can't see my Twitch chat. He's not Deadpool. But the British pronunciation of synapse is synapse? That is curious. Although there's plenty of words like that, but I shall add it to my considerable British vocabulary.
Think back, Mr. Naruhodo. Was there not somebody who casually urged you to continue on the voyage to England?
The terms of this study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead.
My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is one lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely.
Everybody wants a cool pipe. But there is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We know of no other lawyer.
The voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer.
Or just read a book for a month and you'll be a lawyer when the ship arrives. So, you manipulated me?
I've often remarked on the extraordinary lengths to which friendship will drive a man. I was quite sure that you would rise to the challenge for your late friend.
I don't believe it. Well, careering verb. Like, careering is apparently a verb. It's a thing that you can do. It means to go fast. That was, yeah, that was something else. I'm like, surely this time it's a typo. Surely career is not the word they meant to use. They meant to use the word career. But if it was all contrived, I mean, what happened was treated by the authorities as murder. A woman was mistakenly Was that the... Oh, it is. She was wearing a disguise. A woman was mistakenly arrested as the perpetrator. What do you suppose became of her?
Naturally, I didn't allow the misapprehension to have any serious repercussions. I subsequently explained everything and assisted the unfortunate soul in finding the foreign refuge she sought.
Yeah, but Serp is here as well and subbing. And subbing for 3 years! What is that in metric? If anybody knows. If anybody here is from Europe. I seem to remember Miss Susato and I had some rather strong words for her.
Well, she was certainly not devoid of all guilt. She deserved every word, I'm sure.
I wonder if she made it to America then. Was she going to America? The Russian ballet princess? Whatever her name was? I'm afraid I simply cannot comprehend it. Why would you go to such lengths, Mr. Sholmes? Why were you so determined to stop Kazuma-sama from reaching Britain? 112 decimoments.
The truth is, 12 months ago, there was already a very tangible omen of impending tragedy, you see.
Oh.
An omen that, at this very moment in time, is close at hand.
An omen of all these tragic events that already existed a year ago is close at hand. We need to find out exactly what Mr. Sholmes knows. After dessert, we'll go back and examine this this fine kidney pie or what? Oh no, it's already been examined. I do like this fireplace. It's one of the best things I've seen since we arrived in the... Wait, what? The fireplace is one of the best things he's seen, including the Crystal Tower. Though I do yearn for a Japanese kotatsu. Putting your legs under a warm blanketed table is so comforting. Do be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Don't mistakenly put your feet into the fire, will you? You'd suffer terrible burns, you know. Do I play Word Scramble? No. I do play Wordle, and I'm very good at it. Maybe. I worry sometimes about how Susato-san sees me. Okay, no, what am I supposed to... Am I supposed to... How do I get his other conversation topic? Do I present to him this? There was no room for doubt with your instructions in this telegram, Mr. Sholmes. You were very clear that it was Judge Jigoku's office that should be searched. So, you obviously knew that's where the list of names would be found. K. Asugi, A. Sheen, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. But we only learnt of those 4 names just over 6 months ago now, and only because they appeared as part of the top-secret government communications that were leaked.
That's true, yes, but at the time, you were unaware of the background. You see, those 4 names were wired to Japan around 6 months before that. Approximately this time, last year in fact, when you were both still in Japan. It really would be hypocrisy on my part to reprove others for intercepting state secrets. Reprove? That's a new... So, hold on. Reprove. Like, you can say reproach. I guess, like, if I look it up, it's a trap. It's a trap. If I look it up, it's going to be a word. Is it the root word of reprobate? If someone is a perfidious reprobate, is it because they reprove people? To criticize or correct, especially gently. Okay, so it's not something that a reprobate would do. Unless, what is a reprobate? If I'm not making that word up. A depraved, unprincipled, or wicked person. Not the same word. Reprimand sounds like, even reprimand usually isn't gentle. So reprove is like a gentler form of reprimand, I guess. It would be hypocrisy on his part. Because, after all, I'm perpetually eavesdropping on communications between the British and Japanese governments, you see. You're perpetually doing what? How? With his bunny walkie-talkie, obviously. Never mind the details, but you should know. No secret is safe from Herlock Sholmes when he has designs on knowing it.
Oh my, Mr. Sholmes, what a fabulous line!
Now, 1 month after that list of 4 names was wired to the recipient Jigoku in Japan, Dr. John H. Wilson was murdered. As soon as I learnt of the incident, a hypothesis rapidly took shape in my mind. As it turned out, I was partly correct and partly mistaken. Nevertheless, it was the beginning of all the tragic events that were to follow.
Mr. Sholmes, please, tell us all you know. Tell us about these 4 names and the tragedy to which they're all somehow connected.
Go. Tell me. Tell everyone. As I said, when I learnt of Dr. Wilson's murder in Japan, my mind immediately turned to those 4 names, because, you see, there was someone else on the list who I believed to be recently deceased. What? Who? A. Sheen, as it was transcribed in Japanese script, in actual fact, Miss Asa Sheen. That was a familiar name to me. She was a professional killer, well known among London's unsavory classes.
Oh, I see.
But she had completely vanished from existence several months before Wilson's murder. So, I came to the logical conclusion that she herself had fallen into a time portal several centuries into the future. And accordingly, I became fearful for the lives of the remaining 2 persons on the list. Makes sense.
It's pure deduction. You don't see somebody for a while, they fell in a time portal. We know this because of Final Fantasy XIII too. Ah, Kei Asogi and T. Gregson.
Owing to our proximity, I decided to take measures to protect Gregson myself, but I determined it would be safest if young Asogi were to stay away from Britain.
Ah, so that's why you went to such lengths to prevent his study tour from going ahead. How did you wind up on the boat? I don't even remember that. Did he go to Hong Kong and get on the boat on the way?
Maybe he'll explain it. Exactly.
So, you already knew who Kazuma-sama was, Mr. Sholmes.
Alright, have fun, Serp. Have fun and see you next time. Oh yes, Sholmes and I have exchanged correspondence for years. I'd recounted many tales about Asugi to him in my letters, and the news of Dr. Wilson's death, of course.
Wow. So, Dr. Wilson is dead then? I didn't know. Oh, Iris! Oh, we were keeping that a secret from you. I know he wasn't my daddy, but still, that's very sad. I'm so sorry, Iris. We knew the significance of the name, obviously, but we're a bunch of fucking liars. We just couldn't bring ourselves to tell you. For the many months that we were aware. No. But what you just told us, Mr. Sholmes, doesn't completely tie in with the facts. There's one big hole in your hypothesis. A big hole, Mr. Naruhodo?
Ah, yes. You mean about Asashin, I presume?
Of course. Exactly. She wasn't killed, was she? She was in Japan, posing as a visiting student under the assumed name of Giselle Brett.
I'm glad you're keeping up, my dear fellow. But I only became aware of that fact 2 days ago, in the foyer of the Great Waterloo Hotel.
Ah.
And upon hearing that startling revelation, the hypothesis I'd formed surrounding those 4 names was completely turned topsy.
Merely topsy? Not topsy-turvy? Just topsy. Topsy hypothesis. Say that 10 times fast. What do you mean when you say your hypothesis was turned topsy, Mr. Sholmes?
I had believed all 4 names on the list to be the names of victims. However, I was mistaken. Very much so. Asashin was a killer.
So this telegram is a list of both victims and killers, is it?
Indeed, and it would seem that Miss Sheen was dispatched from Britain with the sole intention of dispatching Dr. Wilson. Her visiting student status being merely a front.
Huh. Which would, of course, explain why no motive could be determined for her actions. So the real reason Dr. Wilson was killed by Asashin is because he was the target of an assassination.
And forearmed with that knowledge, fresh consideration of this telegram puts the list in a very different perspective.
What do you mean?
Well, does it not strike you? There is another Amogus IV, who subsequently became a visiting student.
Wait, you mean...
But of course, a name you know only too well.
You mean Kazuma? He did say in court earlier today. Yes, on 31st October I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk in order to carry out a mission. And the mission was the assassination of the Mark. Oh, he meant that he was going to assassinate Gregson.
Young Mr. Asugi accepted that mission a year ago now.
Surely not.
In conclusion, this document is a contract of sorts, an international agreement, one might say, detailing an assassin exchange.
An assassin exchange? How could Kazuma possibly have got involved in something like that?
Let's assume that we have 2 parties, each wishing to dispose of a distinct individual. Those 2 parties then make a contract to swap their respective assassination targets. That would then be an assassin exchange.
So to begin with, the British assassin is dispatched as a visiting student to Japan where she kills her target. And then, the Japanese assassin is dispatched as a visiting student to Britain in order to eliminate his target. It certainly does sound like an exchange. But what on earth is the point?
Don't forget, Naruhodo, that the British assassin at least escaped conviction, thanks to diplomatic immunity afforded by consular jurisdiction.
Oh, yes.
Each jurisdiction should be null and void under the terms of the new treaty between our 2 countries. so the fact that it was brought into play suggests intervention at the very highest levels.
The highest levels?
These murders were two sides of the same coin, linked not by a common motive but by contractual agreement. As such, they appeared utterly unrelated, yet in truth, the assassins were complicit in one singular devilish scheme. That disassociation and the safeguard of diplomatic immunity were, I believe, the motivation behind this plot. But wait a minute, Sholmes. If this telegram really is describing the exchange of assassins as you're suggesting, it would mean that the Japanese killer's target was never Seishiro Jigoku at all. It would mean Asugi's target was actually Inspector Gregson.
What? Kazuma was here for Gregson? So Judge Jigoku wasn't actually the mark? Yes, that's exactly what it would mean.
I hold myself personally responsible for failing to keep the inspector safe.
Mr. Sholmes.
I told him of my fears and implored him to seek a transfer to an overseas position. Obviously, with the young pickpocket in tow.
Yes, Gina. Come to think of it, Inspector Gregson did mention that to us at the Great Exhibition. That he'd be transferring to the Paris police and taking Gina with him.
But without informing me, he engaged in one last assignment, it seems. And sadly, it turned out to be his very last.
This is too much to take in. This kind of makes me even more suspicious that Gregson is alive. That he knew that someone was targeting him. So the photograph of the body is faked. That he in cahoots with someone else faked his own death in order to, I guess, like, whether it was because he thought that Von Zieks was behind it all, or that maybe him and Van Zieks are in on it together. He's like, look, you show up, I'll lie there in some ketchup. You take my picture. I'm gonna get up and go upstairs and hide out for a few weeks or a few days. It only takes a few days for a murder trial to happen. You'll be accused of my murder, and then in the process of all this, we trust that Naruhodo will uncover the entire worldwide galactic assassin exchange plot. All right, everyone, that's quite enough of all that serious talk for one day. Isn't it, Hurley? I mean, look at the time!
Ah, quite right, Iris. We must conclude our preparations for tomorrow.
What preparations? People prepare for court?
Well, I think I shall make my way back to my hotel room now. This has certainly been a night to remember.
It is a little bit sad, though. I mean, I like the idea of you being my daddy. Because then Susie would have been my big sister. I'm sorry, Iris. I know, Iris. I was thinking quite the same thing. Were you? But if somebody like me would be worthy, I would be delighted to become your sister. What? Really? Oh yes, without question. So you'll teach me all the ways you know to throw Runo to the floor? Yes, of course. It would be my pleasure. You didn't have to agree quite so readily. Oh, but wait a minute. If Susie's going to be my big sister, you could be my big brother if you want, Runo.
Huh? I mean...
Yes, of course. If you'll have me, I'll gladly be your brother.
Well done, Iris. We must always be mindful of feelings. I've raised you so well. Ha 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 ha.
Because being sensitive is your strong suit, naturally. Are we going to investigate anything, or just straight to the trial? Right, I'm going to work extra hard for tomorrow now, because it's for my big brother and sister. What is all this talking about preparing for tomorrow? Preparing what? Hee. You'll just have to wait and see. Oh.
Good luck in court tomorrow. I'm expecting a sterling performance. I'll do my very best, of course. So the overnight break in the trial's proceedings became a crucial turning point, exposing new truths whilst posing new conundrums. That list of 4 names on the telegram in Judge Jigoku's office, and the extraordinary assassination plot in which my best friend had somehow become involved. I felt as though I had been plunged into an even greater darkness all of a sudden, but at the same time, I felt sure I would see the light again soon. Because I was lucky enough to have the most wonderful family in the world, standing steadfastly behind me. The real family was the people that we did not convict along the way. Alright, very short investigation, and now on to the trial. Which I still, even we got another 2 hours left to stream, not gonna be enough to finish this. Before we begin today, I have a brief announcement. As with the closed trial 10 years ago, some astonishing facts have come to light in these proceedings. The revelation that the well-known Reaper is actually an organization illegally executing its own brand of justice, and the discovery that the respected yard inspector was at its heart until he himself perished in an assassination plot. Well, I say to all members of the judiciary here present on this occasion that we will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings, no doves for emphasis. Counsels, you will undertake this trial with the resolve to pursue the truth to the bitter end. Resolve, yes. We're some kind of resolve squad. That's my intention. My lord, if I may inquire.
The defendant may speak.
On what grounds is Kazuma Asugi permitted to pursue in his role as prosecutor?
A valid question. Is this not already a flagrant, maybe the most flagrant case of conflict of interest?
He has admitted to colluding with the victim in a plot to assassinate an innocent man. He shouldn't be enjoying the privilege of freedom, let alone be leading to prosecution.
I submitted a written petition to Lord Strongheart, requesting that judgment of my transgressions be delayed 1 day.
You did what?
In today's proceedings, I intend to expose everything. My whole life, for the last 10 years, has all been leading up to this 1 day. Kazuma, whatever the outcome of this trial, I give my word that I will accept whatever punishment is deemed appropriate, however severe. And I suggest you prepare yourself for the same, Reaper. Well, they have plenty of people left over because there's no jury for this trial. There's no jury, so the people who would have been on the jury can just prosecute. Any one of them. We'll either pick one at random, or they can all stand on each other's shoulders in a trench coat. Kazuma is bristling with hostility today. I get the distinct impression we're careering into very dangerous territory. Is that really even Kazuma-sama standing before us? As an extreme exception to normal practices, I have granted this prosecutor's request. The defense finds this acceptable, I presume. Nah. Oh, okay. Yes, my lord. In that case, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed hearing of Barak von Zeeks. No doves for emphasis. The defense is ready, my lord. The prosecution is more than ready. Very well, then. This preamble has taken long enough. Prosecutor Asugi, begin. As you wish, my lord. The prosecution calls the first witness to the stand. I thought we got to be first. I thought the whole reason for a recess is that we had a witness we wanted to call and we couldn't do it till tomorrow. Oh, okay, he's calling him. Same guy. Bring Seishiro Jigoku into the courtroom. At last, then. We've reached the final battle. He's putting literally everything on the line now in order to get to the truth. Come on, Ryunosuke, it's time for that steely resolve because this is going to test it to the limit.